Have you ever met someone who made your skin crawl but you couldn't explain why? They were kind, they smiled, they even said all the right things. And yet something in you tensed. A quiet voice deep inside whispered, "This person is not safe." It wasn't logic. It wasn't reason. It was instinct. Carl Jung didn't dismiss these moments. He studied them, and what he discovered may change the way you see people forever. Not all danger shouts. Some of it, smiles. It walks into the room dressed in charm, says all the right words, and wears the mask of goodness. But deep inside, something's missing. Carl Jung spent his life exploring the human psyche, not just what we show the world, but what we bury, deny, and refuse to face. And he warned us, the most dangerous person is not the one who screams or threatens. It's the one who is disconnected from their own shadow. These are the people who look harmless, even holy, but something behind the eyes is hollow. Not because they're evil, but because they've forgotten who they are. They don't hurt you with knives. They hurt you with confusion, with spiritual certainty that silences your doubt, with sweetness that masks projection, with a mirror that reflects only what they need to see, never who you really are. In this video, we'll explore Jung's warning, the red flags you've been sensing, and how to trust the quiet voice inside you before it's drowned out by someone else's mask, because the most dangerous person isn't always the one who fights you. It's the one who never admits they're also at war with themselves. If you've ever felt that eerie vibe from someone who seemed nice, type, "I've felt this" in the comments right now. Your instinct is wiser than you think. C. Mask that feels safe. Until it doesn't. Some people don't lie with words. They lie with presence. They offer you a smile so polished it feels artificial. They compliment you in a way that feels slightly hollow. They agree with everything you say, but deep down you feel invisible. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to function in society. We all have one. It helps us navigate the world, fit in, survive. But there's a line. When someone becomes too fused with their persona, they forget who they are underneath. They stop being a person and start being a performance. And that's when the danger begins. Because the more someone perfects their mask, the more they bury their truth. And what's buried doesn't disappear. It waits. It leaks out sideways. Through subtle manipulation, through silent judgment, through the energy that makes you shrink even when nothing seems wrong. It's the boss who praises you with a fixed smile, while your stomach knots with unease. It's the partner who never raises their voice, but somehow you always feel like the guilty one. It's the friend who's always doing the right thing, but leaves you feeling emotionally dry. You're not imagining it. Your soul is reading a page their mask won't let you see. If this reminded you of someone, comment, "Now it makes sense," below. You're not crazy. You're just noticing what they've buried. They don't see you. They see their shadow. Have you ever been accused of something you didn't do? Misunderstood, judged, or blamed? Not because of who you are, but because of what someone needed you to represent? Jung called this projection, when a person takes the parts of themselves they can't accept and casts them onto someone else. And here's the frightening part. They don't know they're doing it. They truly believe it's you. You're the selfish one. You're the angry one. You're the liar. But what they're really seeing is the reflection of the traits they've exiled from themselves. They've buried their guilt, their rage, their envy, and now it follows them like a ghost they swear they don't know, a ghost they try to exorcise through you. These people aren't dangerous because they're malicious. They're dangerous because they're unconscious, because they've locked the door to their shadow and thrown away the key. And when that locked door rattles, they swear it's coming from your house. That's why conversations with them feel like emotional landmines, why the argument makes no sense, why their kindness leaves you feeling small. They don't see you. They see the part of themselves they refuse to face. If you've ever been someone's mirror instead of their friend, comment "Been there" below. It's not your fault. You were just holding up a truth they couldn't stand to see. When certainty becomes a danger sign, there's a kind of person who speaks with unwavering confidence, They never pause to reflect, never question themselves, never admit they might be wrong. They talk about truth as if it belongs only to them, and they wear their morality like armor. But Carl Jung warned us, this is not strength. This is ego inflation. It happens when a person fuses with an archetype, like the savior, the guru, the judge, or even the wounded victim. They begin to think they are not just speaking from experience, but from cosmic authority. It sounds noble, it looks powerful, but underneath, it's often fear. Fear of being ordinary, fear of being wrong, fear of facing the complexity of being fully human. So they escape into certainty, into black and white thinking, into a worldview where they are always on the side of good, and everyone who disagrees must be wrong or worse, evil. They don't listen, they preach, they don't connect, they convince, and slowly, without realizing it, they stop being people and become walking ideologies. In Jungian psychology, this is psychic possession. The person is no longer reflecting. They're repeating. They don't evolve. They circle the same identity until it consumes them. Ever met someone who always had the right answer, but never asked the right questions? Type absolutely in the comments if this hit home. When the persona becomes a prison, some people seem perfect. They're polite. They're composed. They never lose control. They always know the appropriate thing to say. They fit every social setting with ease. But somehow, you walk away feeling nothing. Not loved. Not seen. Just disconnected. Carl Jung called this total identification with the persona, when someone becomes the role they play, and though they may look healthy, even enlightened, they're often carrying something deeply painful underneath. Because when the real self is buried beneath layers of performance, intimacy dies. These people don't lie intentionally. They've just forgotten how to be real. They've over-polished themselves into emotional sterility. They may express concern, but never true vulnerability. They'll smile, but it never reaches the soul. Why? Because behind that curated mask lives an exiled shadow. They've silenced their rage, repressed their grief, and buried their contradictions. Not to hurt others, but to be accepted. But here's what Jung knew. What we repress doesn't disappear. It gathers in the dark until it explodes. And sometimes that explosion isn't loud. It's quiet. A breakdown. A midlife crisis. A sudden collapse of everything that once seemed perfect, because the more polished the persona, the more fragile the soul behind it. If you've ever felt drained after spending time with someone who had it all together, comment, "Now I see it," below. The perfection wasn't real, and your energy felt that first. The same script, different scene. Have you ever known someone who always ends up in the same kind of drama? They're always betrayed, always misunderstood, always the victim, or the savior, or the martyr. Different people, different situations, but the emotional story, it's always the same. Carl Jung called this the compulsion to repeat, when someone's unconscious wounds create the same outcome, no matter how much their life appears to change. This isn't about fate. It's not bad luck. It's trauma replaying itself, trying to resolve something it never had the chance to process. That's why you can feel pulled into someone's storm, even when you didn't do anything wrong. You're not part of their present. You're being recruited into their past. Maybe they were abandoned, and now they push you away just to feel abandoned again. Maybe they were shamed, so now they shame you, because it feels safer to be the one doing it. These cycles are rarely conscious, but they are powerful, and when someone hasn't done their inner work, they will project their old wounds onto you, as if you're responsible for healing what someone else broke. This is not love. This is not connection. This is unconscious survival, and it is dangerous, because the longer you stay, the more you forget who you are. You start defending yourself for things you never did. You start feeling guilty for emotions that aren't yours. You stop living your own story and start surviving in someone else's. If you've ever felt stuck in someone's emotional loop, Comment same story, different face below. Their pain wasn't your fault, and it's not your job to relive it for them. The real danger and the real freedom. So who is the most dangerous kind of person? According to Carl Jung, it's not the one who yells, or fights, or even manipulates. It's the one who never looks within. The person who has buried their shadow so deeply they forget it exists, and then see it everywhere but in themselves. They hurt with politeness. They control with charm. They lie with certainty. They don't mean to harm, but harm comes anyway, through denial, projection, repetition, and silence. Jung warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. But this isn't just about protecting yourself from others. It's about becoming someone who doesn't hurt others this way. Someone safe, because you've faced your own shadow first. Integration isn't about perfection. It's about honesty. Can you admit your flaws without collapsing into shame? Can you see your triggers without blaming someone else? Can you let go of the need to seem good and instead become whole? Because the truth is, we all wear masks. We all have a shadow, but the difference lies in this. Do you recognize it, or do you hide behind it? The most dangerous people are not those who have darkness. It's those who deny it. And the safest people in the world, they are not flawless. They are real. They don't speak with moral superiority. They speak with soul. They don't pretend to know everything. They reflect. They question. They grow. And when you sit across from them, you don't feel manipulated. You feel met. Not because they performed perfection, but because they showed up fully. Mask off, shadow in hand, and still willing to connect. That is who we are here to become. Not, idols, not saints, not judges, but humans, with roots in the shadow and eyes toward the light. If this message stirred something in you, comment, I choose wholeness below. You're already doing the work, and that matters more than you know. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who's been questioning the masks in their life. And don't forget to subscribe to Self-Decode for more soul-deep wisdom inspired by Carl Jung and other great minds of the inner world. Your journey toward wholeness is not lonely. We're walking it with you. Because real healing doesn't begin with light, it begins with the courage to face the dark.